Welcome into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a jam-packed show for you as always. Lots of NFL draft talk, teams that made mistakes, teams that did well. We'll get into that as we roll along today. Of course, you're always welcome to join the show at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. As I'm dealing with my sinuses still acting up on me here, these trees have got to stop. I don't know what the term is, but whatever it is where they're making pollen, stop it. Tired of hearing it. Anyway. We'll look at the NFL draft. We'll also look at some of the surprises, some of the things to look forward to this weekend. All of that on the rundown. Number to dial, though, is 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Some surprises. I think Panthers fans are not happy today. I think they were thinking, all right, we've got to get a quarterback, and they didn't. In fact, the only quarterback taken in the draft was Kenny Pickett. And Dakota says it's called pollinating. I don't want to use that term because I don't know. It's more vile in my brain. Let's just leave it at that. It's kind of how I'm sick of trees. Anyway, we'll take your calls at 803-978-1832. Looking at some of the picks in the draft, I think that certain teams did really good. I'm not sure about Kenny Pickett going to Pittsburgh. I think Malik Willis is going to be a guy that folks are going to be talking about. And he's definitely going to use that mentality wherever he ends up. We'll see where he goes. You know, I think that, in my opinion, the best player in the draft was Derek Stingley. And I'll tell you how I came to that. He walked into LSU as an 18-year-old kid and was the best player there at 18. Walked in and was just outstanding. This guy's out there chasing Jamar Chase. You imagine how that went in practice. Now, I know that there were some injuries and things like that, and there were some people talking about maybe he wasn't completely all in on that, and I understand that. But think of it from this perspective. If you're 18 years old and you walk into LSU, which is considered one of the hubs in our country as far as universities that produce defensive backs, and you go there at 18 as soon as you walk in, and you're the best defensive back there. And not only that, you're matching up with guys, and what was it, Jefferson, Chase? I mean, they had some great wide receivers on that team. And this guy was out there holding his own. Not only holding his own, making plays. After that, though, when you're dealing with everything that was happening with Ed Orgeron acting like a crazy man, and the fall off from what happened with Orgeron, maybe people were thinking, you know what, maybe he's not quite with it. People stopped throwing the ball on his side of the field. So he essentially makes all he does after that freshman season is just run sprints. I mean, seriously, think about it. Nobody's going to throw the ball at him. I think that at number 3, that pick was outstanding. Outstanding with Derek Stingley heading to the Houston Texans. And it's not to take anything away from the guys that are up front of him with Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson, because I think Trayvon Walker is great. I really do. And Hutchinson, though, I'm not sure. Yeah, he was really great at Michigan, but I'm not sure. But I do think that Stingley is going to end up probably being the best player in the draft. I really, really believe that. It's just from where he was at before. There are some picks I question. The Kenny Pickett trade or Kenny Pickett pick. It's tough to put out there. Baylor man says, I have absolutely no interest in anything NFL related. We have 119 days until college football season. Fine. Jet Mech with a great comment. Stingley is a quitter, in my opinion. He quit on LSU, and he'll quit on his NFL team when times get tough. That is a fair assessment. Absolutely fair assessment. I'm just saying from what we saw him do on the field. Wow. All right, so we'll take comments on that. I've also got something else, too, that I was thinking about, too. With Georgia had, what, I think 5 players drafted in the first round. Their linebacker, Dean, should have been drafted, too. He's going to be on somebody's team and end up killing someone. Watch. Shows you how much of an idiot sometimes the NFL folks are. How you could not find a pick for Dean is insane to me. I can answer Jay's question. Rob, what do you think about Roxanne Price from the Bunny Ranch offering a free session with the number 1 overall pick? Well, I hope someone drives him there because he wrecked his car on draft night. I don't know how that happens. But, I mean, they probably did that for some publicity. But anyway, you look at the 5 picks that Georgia had in the first round of the draft, and it kind of makes you wonder, how is it they only have 1 national title? I mean, it's a very valid point. You have 5 first-round picks, you get 1 national title out of it. Just a point to ponder there. Anyway, we'll take calls on that at 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. There were teams that had, yep, and there's Kirby's visor. I mean, the SEC lower back tattoo folks are so special. Georgia had more picks in the first round than the entire ACC. That's great. That's great. Let me ask you something, though. How many picks did Tennessee have? You want to talk about that? How many picks did Mizzou have? Vanderbilt? You want to go down the list? Here's what happens. And this is what is so frustrating with all of this. The teams that end up with a lot of players that are drafted spend a lot of money on recruiting. Go and look at when you have multiple first-round picks, you're telling me Georgia and Alabama and those teams don't spend the money on recruiting? Of course they do. So it comes down to money. It really does. But the idea that this had more picks than the ACC, that's great. I mean, you're kind of feeding into my point. How is it that you could have more picks than a conference and only 1 national title? If I'm a Georgia fan, I would be upset by that. How do we have 5 guys drafted in the first round from our defense? We only have 1 national title. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. We'll also look at some other some picks for next week or for next year's draft. Already got projections out for that. We'll get into that in a moment. Go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, it's Megan.
Megan, what's up, buddy? How are you? Hope you're having a good Friday.
Yeah, I am totally out of the loop though on the draft. I tuned in a little bit late here. I was joking yesterday when I said Purdy may put more guys in the first round than the entire ACC, but I think I just heard something that might have actually happened.
Yep, that certainly did happen. You're right.
Wow. Okay. So you're a Packers fan.
Hey, hold on. Let me ask you something though. How inadequate do you feel that you had 5 defensive players taken in 1 draft and you got 1 national title? That's like being a 7-foot-tall basketball player given an opportunity to dunk 10 times and you only get 1 dunk. I mean, you have to feel inadequate, don't you?
Absolutely not, and I think
Oh,
you
okay.
know that. And the answer is obvious. We don't play at the YMCA like you do every Saturday. So
That
we
is that
also
is
have
a
other
load
teams.
of crap, sir. That is an absolute load
No,
of crap, sir.
no, it's not. It's
It is a
absolutely
complete
not.
load of crap. You have one game a year essentially that you have to get up for. Generally, it's Auburn. But let's be
That
honest. In your own opinion, do you think that Tennessee is a top 5 program right now? Do you think Florida's a top 5 program right now? No. No. You play one really tough game a year. Last year, you played 2 because you scheduled Clemson at a neutral site. So you had Clemson and you had Alabama in the championship game. The rest of your schedule is not very tough. So let's not have lies here on a Friday on the rundown. But anyway, go ahead.
are you done bloviating, you gooey moron? Listen,
Gooey.
you mentioned the same every time you want to put down the SEC East. You mention the same teams, Missouri and Vandy and Florida. Listen, your schedule compared to ours isn't comparable. But anyway, let's go on. I was going to try to be nice and ask about how your Packers did during the draft. Were you happy with their draft?
We're not making the playoffs this year. We're screwed. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's gonna be bagging groceries at Publix.
Okay, well, I thought I saw where they had 2 first-round picks to choose from this year. Was that not right? Or
Yeah, the Packers had, I think, a pretty good draft. I mean, I'm goofing, but the Packers had a good draft.
Who'd they draft? I'm totally again.
I have
I'm totally
to look at
I totally missed it.
Come on, don't make me go through all of this. The Packers drafted. I know they were near the bottom of the first round here. They got Devontae Wyatt. From Georgia.
Whoa. Devontae Wyatt played for Georgia.
Yeah, I just said that. Are you deaf?
I
said Devontae Wyatt from Georgia.
Okay, so who else? Surely they didn't get someone else from Georgia. They had another pick.
Yeah, I'm looking for the other pick now. Oh, and they got the linebacker, Quay Walker from Georgia.
Oh, no.
He'll play special teams.
Now didn't they pick another Georgia guy last year? Is that right?
I don't remember last year's draft, and I'm not being silly. I just don't remember who they drafted last year.
Yeah, it was a former 3-star that Kirby developed into a first-round pick. His name was Eric Stokes.
Oh, okay. Well, I knew it wouldn't be a quarterback or anybody on the offensive side of the ball to help Aaron Rodgers a little bit. So,
yeah, we never have offensive first-round picks. We're not called, Todd Gurley and AJ Green. Those guys were.
He's 27 years old and out of the NFL, but continue.
Yeah. Why I don't quite understand why so sour when you just had a great draft.
I'm not sour. I said I think the Packers had a good draft. You have bad listening skills, man.
Yeah,
you really do.
You do seem sour. You do seem sour.
Well,
Rob.
I am sorry that you're not in touch with my emotions, sir. I think the Packers had a pretty good draft. I don't know exactly how these guys are going to do when they get to the pros, but that's with anybody really. The only player that I'm really a slam dunk on is Stingley from LSU. I think he's going to be outstanding.
All I know is Crow must be full of sugar and carbs, which you wouldn't think that because you've been on a steady diet of it since about early September of last year. I've never seen anybody be more wrong more often. And here it is in the draft. You're just sticking your foot in your mouth over, and you're not learning.
If you went back to what I said yesterday, I said we'll get calls from people saying the SEC is the best conference in the history of the planet because they had X amount of players drafted. You didn't listen to that either. You don't listen to anything. You are terrible at this. I mean, I'm worried that I'm really worried about you. Your listening skills are horrible.
You're questioning my listening skills when you're blind. You can't see. How many drafts has the SEC dominated now? How many in a row?
Well, first of all, what I was getting to before you called is that it comes down to essentially 3 schools in the SEC that are sending a lot of kids to the draft. It's not the entire conference. So you want to go tour on tour with me with that? Hey, how many players from Texas A&M were drafted yesterday? Do you know about that? I mean, I know you love Jimbo Fisher. How many did he have drafted?
I saw 1 in the first round. I know that.
He had 1, the same amount as the people from Central Michigan. Do you want to keep going on and on with this? If it's not Alabama, LSU, or Georgia, The conference is kind of silly. How many people did Lane Kiffin have drafted yesterday?
How many did the
How
ACC
many
have
did
in the
Lane
first round?
Kiffin have drafted yesterday, sir?
I don't know.
Okay,
How many
zero.
did the ACC have?
Zero. I don't keep track of conference because I don't have to have validity for a conference. You guys have to build up your conference so much, and I don't understand. I don't get it.
You're spitting out facts about how many draft picks a conference has, and then you're saying
Right, because I have this nice big board. I have this nice big board in front of me. I can tell you that Boston College had a draft pick yesterday. I mean, we can go on and back and forth all day long on this, sir.
I've been nice up until now, but it's obviously, Rumpus time is over. It's time to bend you over my knee and spank your enlarged behind on this.
I tell you what, you better pack a lunch and make sure your parole officer will let you out of Florida before you make threats like that, sir.
No,
I am not even trying to even remotely hear that.
Me and the parole officer are good. I got clearance.
Fair enough.
So it's going to be a long off season, Rob. You couldn't have been more wrong, and you're still sticking to your
honestly.
little piss poor water guns.
What am I wrong about? I said yesterday that people like you would be talking about the SEC's the greatest and they had the most drafted. I said that yesterday. What am I wrong about?
But what you failed to mention was we're just spitting facts. That's where, for a guy who loves to use the word reality, you sure avoid it at all costs.
I said yesterday that the SEC would have a great draft. I said, why are people talking about it today? You honestly don't listen. You don't listen. It's okay.
That's like saying if a certain team wins the college football playoff, their fans are going to be obnoxious. Yeah, no kidding. It's a fact.
Okay.
I mean, guess what? The sun rose in the east.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think that it's all just based on players that are drafted in the NFL? That's the end all be all, right? That's what you called about today. Right?
It sure has a lot to do with it. We dominate
under
the
that logic, how come you don't win the national title every single season?
Because it's the SEC that dominates the draft, not Georgia.
So let me make sure that I understand.
Which means we have more competition.
The last time that the Clemson played in the national championship game against Alabama, they beat them by 4 touchdowns, which is a pipe dream that Georgia fans will never understand. And they did it with less recruiting, and they're not in the SEC. I mean,
and that's the end all be all. That's the end all be all, right?
Oh, okay, all right. So those facts you don't like.
When you take an honest look at the facts and the stats, I
said you had the most players in the draft. I said that yesterday.
I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about the SEC.
Yeah, I said the SEC. I refer to them as you because you'd be a Vanderbilt fan if you had to be to validate your argument. I said that. I said that yesterday.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I do know
that
your record versus a certain SEC team is 43-18, sir.
I hope you have a great weekend, sir. And then stub your toe in golf. Let's go back out to the phones. 803-978-1832. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon. Oh, turn that down.
What's up, Robin?
Can you turn that down for me? Turn that down for me, man. It's blasting my ear out. Appreciate it. All right, what you got for the program, buddy?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, man. What you got?
Hey, look, man. I just wanted to talk to you about that series with Clemson. You know the overall record
for the Clemson and who, sir?
Georgia.
Oh yeah, Georgia dominates the series. Absolutely.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Just like they dominated the first round of that draft last night.
They certainly did. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. So what's your deal, man? You really get upset about the SEC?
No, I don't get upset about the SEC. I just want to. I feel like I have to educate people because there is good football that is outside of the SEC. Just because you play in the SEC doesn't mean that it's an end-all, be-all, and that no good football is played anywhere else. Ohio State is pretty good. Clemson has been pretty good. I mean, there are other teams that are pretty good. And the SEC is built on essentially 4 teams, and the rest of them are a bunch of 4s. I mean, let's just be honest. After the 4 great teams, the rest of them are a bunch of 4s.
You're pretty average. But But you always have a national championship winner coming out of the SEC.
Not every
That's
year.
the
Not every year.
most consistent thing in college football has
Not
been
necessarily.
the SEC.
Not necessarily. We can agree to disagree. I mean, yeah, the SEC has produced champions. I'll give you that. But it's
and
not
Georgia
not
has
every
had
year
plenty
that.
of talent and just now broke through. I heard you say that, correct?
Absolutely. I was saying, if you're a Georgia fan, you probably are a little upset that you had 5 players taken, defensive players taken the draft. You got 1 national title out of them. That's kind of crazy,
let's
right?
run it back here to Kirby Smart's first year. Terrible year, right?
I can't
Lost
remember.
to Vanderbilt.
I honestly can't remember his first year, so you have to help me out with that. I don't remember how they did
That was
that
2016. We took a loss to Vanderbilt. That shouldn't have never happened.
Okay.
The following year, he goes and plays for the national championship.
Cool.
So with all these players that you say, we don't ever produce anything.
No.
You don't get credit.
I said that you had 5 players, and I thought that with those 5 players, you should have more. That's all that I said.
Okay, well, we didn't have those 5 players in 2017. We were using Mark Richt players.
Mark Richt was a hell of a recruiter, sir. We can go back and look at the 247 Sports
Mark
recruiting
Richt
rankings.
lost his job because he didn't recruit the lines of scrimmage.
That's okay. I'd have to go back and look. I don't want to argue point for point for that, but I mean they finished in the top 10 in recruiting with Mark Richt consistently. So,
how does it feel knowing Georgia has replaced Clemson for the foreseeable future as an elite force in college football?
I mean, you won 1 year. So, and let's be honest, the year before you didn't make the SEC championship game and you lost to a team that with Dan Mullen as its coach, and he's not even there anymore. So, yeah, you're the best team in the country right now, but being sustainable is the big thing. And you remember, said in 2017 you lost to Vanderbilt. That's not exactly consistent, right? Clemson's won 10 games in a row for like. Okay,
Let me correct you. That was 2016.
All right, well, Clemson's won 10 games in a row for I think 12 seasons now.
And Georgia owns Clemson.
They certainly do. Maybe you guys can get a banner for that. We've talked about that.
No, we got a national championship banner.
Well, that's great. And you should have more than that with the draft that you had.
Well, Kirby's just getting started. This dude's going to go on and win multiple titles, and he will retire Nick Saban with an L.
Well, respectfully, Nick Saban's in his 70s, so, I mean.
Did you know
Nick
Kirby
Saban's
Smart?
an old guy, yeah, so.
Hold on. Kirby Smart has a number 1 overall recruit, a draft pick, and Nick Saban doesn't.
All right, repeat that. I'm sorry. What did you say? My headphone dropped on me. What did you say?
Kirby Smart has a number 1 overall draft pick in Travon Walker, and Nick Saban has 0.
Okay, so it all comes to the draft is what you're telling me?
Talent, blue chip, dude. Georgia's beating Alabama in the recruiting right now.
Well, Texas A&M is beating everybody, so should we just say Texas A&M's the absolute best?
They got to break through just like we just did.
Fair enough, man. Hey,
you were the one saying Kirby's never going to do it. Kirby's never going to do it.
And you know what? And I said, hey, and I paid him his due respects, and he got it done.
Yeah, you had to eat that crow, didn't you?
I certainly did. And he got it done.
Yes,
he really did.
Yep. And many more will be coming.
Well, we shall see on that, man. Hey, thanks for calling the program.
Visor out.
All right. And one more call. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
Rob, I've sat here and held my tongue for about as long as I can.
All right. Well, your cell phone reception is kind of spotty there, but go ahead.
Remember back in the days when we used to talk about the taters and how you all had to be told you were pretty every day or you got your feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Has Georgia not taken the place of that and far exceeded it? Look, you made a statement early on last year that you didn't think Kirby Smart was a top 25 coach. You know what? That's your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion, whether it may be statistically wrong or not. You're entitled to your opinion. These buttheads ate it up, hook, line, and sinker, and are still upset about it. They're still upset. It's like this little pipsqueak who just couldn't get off the phone without having to throw a jab at you. I mean, he just could not get off the phone after you had already stated you were wrong, that, you had to eat your crow, blah, 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 just wouldn't shut up. I'm tired of it. I am just so absolutely freaking tired of hearing about Georgia. I'm tired of their damn draft picks. I'm tired of this little Kirby Smart running around. I hope and pray we desperately need to kick their rear end up around their shoulder blades week 3, and I feel real confident that's going to take place in Willie B. Carolina Jackpot out.
Appreciate it. Carolina Jackpot joining the program, and he's right. But you know what? I have to what he said about Georgia needing to be told, hey, you're still the prettiest girl in the room. He's correct about that. But when you have a 40-year national title drought, what do you expect? You have to be told over and over and over again. They still can't believe it. Still can't believe it. Had that 40-year run where they didn't win anything. And I think that's a lot of the reason that Georgia fans don't like Dabo Swinney, because he won national titles with less talent. He beat Alabama by 4 touchdowns. That's why they don't like him. It's absolutely why they don't like him. And it's okay. They can like whoever they want, and they can have my opinion on whoever. I'm not expecting you to agree with me. I don't really care. Either way, seriously. One thing about this show is that we respect the hardware. And Georgia won the national title last year. Now, the caller that we had before Mr. Carolina Jackpot there said Georgia's going to win several more, and that's his opinion. I don't know for sure. We'll have to see. I have to see. All right. Slimus wants my thoughts on Kenny Pickett. He has small hands. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Jason says I should kiss the ring. Hey, you won the national title. Made you a permanent fixture on my soundboard here, man. I mean, seriously, I don't know what else that they want. We had hardware day the day after the national title where we did nothing but talk about how great Georgia was. We did all of that. And Georgia fans are still upset. I mean, I've got this lined up.
That is the end of the ball game. Final score, Georgia 33, Alabama 18.
Yeah. Still not good enough. I don't know. When you win consistently at that, and you get to that point where maybe the caller is right. Maybe when they win, or if they win 2 or 3 national titles, maybe they'll feel a little better. Who knows? All right. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Jason says, we want to keep chirping a little bit longer. You know what? And that's the thing. You have won that right to chirp because you won the whole damn thing. That's I mean, this actually happened to you.
4th and 12 at the Georgia 47. The final second ticks away. And how of an appropriate ending is that? We sack Young on the last play of the game. Dogs are winners. A national championship for a new generation of Bulldogs. How about that? Final score, 33-18. The slipper changes feet, and Georgia is crowned the national champion for the first time in 41 years.
So that's Georgia Radio Network on the call there. I'm going to quote a couple of different folks here. One of them is Dabo Swinney. And he said when they won the national title in 2016 that Clemson was on top of that mountain, but staying there is the toughest part. Now, that's what Georgia has to do this year. You lost 5 guys on the defensive line, or on the defensive side of the ball. Are you going to be able to remedy that? We don't know. That's why college football is great. Because we really don't know. We really don't know. Anyway, I appreciate the back and forth with the folks from Georgia and the folks from Tennessee who are upset at me for calling their offense a gimmick offense. Man, I've really angered some folks with that. Just how I feel. Anyway, we'll take your calls at 803-978-1832. Jackpot Online says we're going to kick them in the face week 3. He is confident about his Gamecocks. If South Carolina starts the season 2-0, meaning that they'll win their opener against the non-conference opponent and they go to Arkansas and win, there's going to be that Georgia game South Carolina should be ranked at that point, I would believe. You may have a top 20 matchup right here in Columbia in Shane Beamer's second year with the school. It might happen. All right, 803-978-1832. Quick break. Going to catch up here, and then we'll come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. What's not happening? South Carolina winning at Arkansas and winning the first game of the season? That might happen. I don't think it's, in poll for the room here. Do you think it's that far-fetched for South Carolina to win the first 2 games of the season? Seriously. It's at least I think it's a 50, 60-40 against them going into Arkansas, because playing on the road is tough, and I get that. But I don't think it's not set in rock. They're going to lose, though. Luke says it's far-fetched. Bible Belt says it's a toss-up game. Anybody be really shocked? Seriously. Absolutely shocked if South Carolina won both of those games. I wouldn't be. Wouldn't be at all. I don't think, and Jimmy says they could lose both of them. I don't think so. I don't think they're losing both of them. It's a non-conference opponent to open the season. I can't remember who it is. Is it Georgia? Who is it at the beginning of the season? Is it Georgia State? I didn't suffocate anyone. Stop it. My German Shepherd only can go on certain sides of the house now. South Carolina opens with Georgia State. Tennessee fans, what happened to you the last time you played Georgia State? Anybody want to go back to that? No, we don't want to talk about that, do we? That doesn't feed into the SEC narrative. Now, that game didn't happen, right? Come on now. Captain, we're going to have to see. You may be right. Somebody said South Carolina plays Sisters of the Poor earlier. It's not exactly Sisters of the Poor. They went into Knoxville and won. So maybe it's not Sisters of the Poor. Right? Or is that still Sisters of the Poor? I'm just asking. Because if so, Tennessee lost to the Sisters of the Poor. Oh, man. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. Out to the phones we go. Ballard, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. What you got for the show today?
Well, I wanted to talk about the first round of the draft
Sure.
last night. Obviously, defensive led. I think they were saying it was a record setting. I don't remember how many it was, but do you think that everybody went in the places that we expected? I mean, obviously, it started with Trayvon Walker, but like you got Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, I think it played out pretty fairly.
Yesterday on the show, I picked Aiden Hutchinson to go first because I think Jacksonville
Yeah.
management is stupid. I think Trayvon Walker was who they were going to go with. I still think Derek Stingley's the guy that is, in my opinion, the number one player that I would have gone after. But if you're going for the defensive line, folks, then I think Walker's better. But you got to remember, sometimes with Jacksonville, man, their defensive picks are terrible. I mean, they really are.
Right.
And even last year, the stuff with Trevor Lawrence, he didn't exactly have a lights out rookie season. Travis Etienne, their other draft pick, he didn't have he didn't play at all, was injured and was gone.
And they really didn't have receivers either.
Yeah. Well, and that's fair too. But I thought they were going to go with Hutchinson, but Walker's was probably the correct pick.
Yeah, I mean, I do like this because how many times every year is it like, well, he'll be the number one pick. He'll be the number one pick. What's so great is the variety and that it was kind of a mystery and there wasn't a clear-cut correct choice. I mean, I think it should have been Hutchinson. I like picks in there like Ikeme Ekwonu to Carolina. I think Kayvon Thibodeau rounding out the top 5 to New York was a big pickup there. Then they go get Evan Neal. There were a lot of great picks in this draft, but I think that, and it's a domino effect, isn't it? I mean, if you think about it, if Jacksonville takes one player at number one, like let's say they take Hutchinson, well, does that mean that Trayvon Walker is going to Detroit? Or are they going Thibodeau? I mean, it's kind of a domino effect. Who you take will ultimately impact the rest of the draft because someone was probably looking for that player, and they got to go somewhere else.
Domino
and they're
effect.
taking someone else's.
Yeah, you're right, man. The domino effect, man. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah, man. I think my Buccaneers open up tonight's draft, and they're saying the best available is Nakobe Dean, but the best fit is Breece Hall. What do you think we do tonight?
Well, I think you can't go wrong with Nakobe Dean. He is 5'11". He didn't really have from what I read, okay, I didn't watch his combine stuff, but apparently he didn't put up good numbers in the combine. But Dean makes I guess the term is nose for the ball. He always seems to make the absolute right play right when he's supposed to. The fact that he didn't go in the first round is shocking to me. And I know that Peg and Megan was giving me grief about that earlier. I was hoping that the Packers would pick him up because I think he is that good. So
I did not expect the Bucs to trade out. And I thought they would have took him at 27, I think.
Yeah. All right, man. I got to move on, but I appreciate you calling, bud. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, have a good one.
All right, man. And one more call. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. This is Scott from Marshall.
Hi.
Did you see my Carolina Panthers just blow it last night?
Define blow it. If you get an offensive tackle that, in their mind, according to their scouting department, is a guy that is going to be an offensive tackle for 10 years in the NFL, it's not necessarily blowing it because there wasn't exactly a quarterback in this draft that was a lights out prospect.
Yeah, but they could have had any one of the wide receivers.
Well, they should have traded down. I mean, if you want to have that,
they should have. That's what they should have done. Yeah,
they should have taken the 6th pick and pulled the Patriots with it and moved down later in the draft and then pick somebody else. But I mean, it's a safe, unsexy pick, but I don't think it's that far fetched with getting a tackle that could be there for 10 years. You, in theory, are investing in someone that you hope can protect the blind side of your quarterback for a decade, and that's pretty good.
Well, you got to get a quarterback first.
Well, everybody needs one of those.
Yeah, and with Jacksonville's pick, I was shocked that they went with the defensive end.
Well, they need pretty much everything. I mean, I think that and I said Lawrence didn't have a good season, but they got to give Lawrence time to develop. And last year was essentially like when we were kids and we had the Nintendo where you had to reset it every now and then. It's kind of what you had to do because they made a mistake with Urban Meyer. But I think the only player that they've got that is untradeable is Trevor Lawrence, in my opinion, because I mean, the rest of the league is still high that he's going to be a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, but don't you think that they could have traded back and got one of the wide receivers for him, like the Bengals did?
Yeah, in theory, yeah. I mean, but I mean, we're not in the war room. We don't know exactly what they got.
Yeah.
So.
And do you think that those three defensive linemen? I mean, I watched Georgia a lot last year, and it seemed like their linebackers made their linemen better.
Well, yeah, the Nakobe Dean is great. I mean, we've talked.
I mean,
we were just
all four
talking
of
about
them
that.
were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I thought they were going with a 4-3 lineman this year at Jacksonville.
I don't know. I'd have to research that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's I don't like trying to figure out what Jacksonville's going to do with the draft is just. I mean, throw darts on the wall. I don't know. They don't have a very good history of drafting folks.
And did you like where Kenny Pickett went?
I mean, I think Malik Willis is going to be the better quarterback in my opinion. I think he gives you more options with things he can move around a little bit in the pocket, and I think he throws a better ball than Pickett does. So,
I mean, they were comparing Pickett to Matt Hasselbeck. I mean,
Hasselbeck played in the league for 10 years, so.
Yeah, but I mean, he didn't go anywhere.
Well, I don't know.
It's just, I don't know how some of these teams think.
I can agree with you on that. I would have went with Malik Willis if I were going for a quarterback. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, that's like Green Bay. They took 2 defensive players.
Yes.
And wasn't that what Aaron Rodgers was complaining? Complaining about for the last 10 years.
If I'm the general manager of the Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers is 38 years old. I've already drafted the guy that's going to be his replacement, and I'm thinking in my head, I've got essentially one season to with Rodgers at the peak level that he was at last year, because no one defeats Father Time. Okay, and I can't mold the franchise for a guy who's only going to be here at best for 2 more seasons. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, but the backup quarterback's going to be in his 4th year next year?
3rd or 4th year. Yeah, I can't remember.
3rd or 4th year?
Yeah, something like that.
All right, man.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for calling. All right, 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. Dakota says, I like where Kenny Pickett went because he is comfortable with the stadium, comfortable with the deep grass turf, and I'm sure he's taught the Steelers coaching staff quite a few times. Well, we'll see. One of the things about the Steelers is they're consistent. They have the same coach. They generally don't make mistakes when they draft. They're pretty solid across the board, so I don't know. The draft is tough. 803-978-1832. D for Sports says Hasselbeck went to a Super Bowl. Yes, he did. More of the rundown. We come back. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I think Dean can be better than Roquan Smith. What I'm talking about on the phone is I'm finding out who the next caller is, Dakota. It's kind of a behind the scenes thing. So I can answer the phone and then find out who it is and then go from there. That's why I'm talking on the phone. I did not Google keto flu. I am doing macros and I've lost 18 pounds. So I don't know. I don't think I need to Google the keto flu. I don't want anything with the flu. Jackpot's hilarious, by the way. I have to tell myself when I go on the air not to call DJ Uiagalelei the ukulele because that would not go over well. When I got to interview him last year at ACC kickoff, and I literally wrote down on a Post-it note and stuck it next to my microphone, do not call him the uke. That damn Jackpot got in my head. I know that, Rick. Final segment of the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Big Barney Ross, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'd like to talk about the Tennessee Titans in the draft. Now, I don't know who on the Biden administration is down there calling the shots on this, but
wait a minute. The Biden administration is running the Tennessee Titans. Do they know this?
It's got to be, because we need wide receivers and they get rid of Brown and draft a kid that can't catch the ball over the middle. Which that's fine, because our quarterback ain't going to throw the ball over the middle because he'll be running for his life, because Lewan is going to be a spokesman for Acme Cement. I'm boycotting the rest of the draft until the 7th round when Kentucky players start coming off the board and Green Bay loads up on them. If you think about it, Big Barney Ross, I'm out of
here. First of all, a couple of things from that call. I didn't know the Biden administration was running the Tennessee Titans. Second of all, there's projections that they may get one of the quarterbacks that are left in Malik Willis. Man, if I were Tennessee, that's who I would go after. Why not? All right. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here today on the rundown on a Friday. Yes. Getting jacked up for the weekend. Watch some probably go watch some Braves baseball this weekend. Get into that. I follow the draft on Twitter. I can't sit there and watch the talking heads talk for hours and hours on end. Just follow it on Twitter. Justin wants to know what's the point spread for the Birmingham Stallions versus New Orleans game on Saturday night. I have no clue. I normally pick the USFL picks, but I don't know if I even pulled the line today. Jimmy says he'd rather watch Housewives of Atlanta than the NFL draft. Good point, sir. Jay says, Rob, are you worried with Biden's new Ministry of Truth team? You won't be able to say Clemson is still relevant. Really? Really? Jay's going to be upset if Biden cuts off his government cheese. He's going to be really mad. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown. There's already projections for next year's draft that are out. Number one projected pick next year is C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. Bryce Young with Alabama at 2. Will Anderson at 3. And then go from there. Interesting. By the way, for you Panthers fans, they have the Panthers drafting Tyler Van Dyke, the quarterback from Miami, next season. Imagine that. Imagine that. All right, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. As we get you head up for the weekend. You know, I can do the USFL picks really quick here. Let me see if I can pull them up. I don't even remember what, I think last week I might have went 1 for whatever. Let's go out to the phones first. Maybe we'll get to the USFL picks. Let's try this first. Welcome into the program. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
Good. What's up?
Hey, I want to let my fellow Georgia fans know that if we don't get Carson Beck into the game early in the season, we don't have the defense we had last year to make up for Stetson Bennett. Now, I'm not knocking Stetson Bennett here, but we're going to have a more prolific quarterback this year because we've lost too much on defense.
I think you got a lot of guys coming back, but I think last year's defense was just special. I mean, 5 first-round picks. I mean, you can't really argue that. I mean, 5 guys drafted in the first round. Yeah, you got to figure out which way you're going to go. So, I mean, look, Georgia's going to be good regardless, but to achieve the height that they achieved last year, maybe you're right about the quarterback. I don't know, but man, that's one of the tough things. That's why Kirby Smart makes what, $7 million a year. He's got to make that decision.
Yeah, well, he kind of failed us with the whole Justin Fields thing. I'm going to tell you right now, I think if we would have had Justin Fields a few years back, we'd have already had another championship back then. Look what he did at Ohio State. But, I'm just kind of worried about – I'm not really worried. I want to see Georgia repeat, of course. It's my team. But I don't see it as the defense we just had this last year was once in a generation. Really. I mean, 5 first-rounders.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree on that, and I think that's why I was questioning earlier. I mean, 5 first-round draft picks on the defensive side of the ball. You've got probably at least 2 more. Jalen Carter is going to be a first-round pick next season, I would venture to say, and he'll be on the team this year. Ringo will probably be a first-round pick. Nolan Smith will probably be a first-round pick next season. So you have, 8 first-round picks, I think it's safe to say, on that side of the ball, and you only got 1 title out of it. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. That's kind of where I'm getting at. I think we need a little bit more of a prolific quarterback, and I'm not poo-pooing Stetson Bennett. I mean, it was a great moment and all, but we're going to need something a little bit more because this coming years, because you're not going to just keep repeating that just a dominant defense with a mediocre quarterback. You're just not going to keep repeating that year after year. You look at all the past years, Alabama putting quarterbacks in, Trevor Lawrence with Clemson and all.
I have to end the show, but you're correct, and right. I appreciate you calling, man.
Right,
thank you.
Sir.
All right, next week on the rundown, we'll have a full recap of where everyone went in the draft and whatever else comes our way. Thanks for joining the show. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. Clemson Sports Talk is next with Lawton Swan. Podcast will be up at 5 o'clock. We'll see you on Monday. Jason, you're right. Peg and Megan, you're wrong. Everything Peg and Megan has typed today has been dumb. He's drinking like, I don't know. I don't even know with you, Peg and Megan. I worry about you. All right, guys, we'll see you later on.